All right, what's going on, everyone? This is Zen here from Zen Multiverse, and I hope you're having a phenomenal day so far. So, today we're talking about Icon versus Hardware. Yes, by Milestone Comics, but it's really, produced by DC Comics, and this is the first issue. Now, I am familiar with both characters, and I've done videos on these characters in the past, but I must admit, I haven't read a wealth of comic books from both characters, but I'm definitely jumping into this one.
You will never amount to anything. We shall see, brother.
So we start off the comic book in Switzerland 3 months before the Big Bang, and we see Raquel Irving, and she's Rocket. She's the partner of Icon himself, and apparently she's going to a brand new school. Augustus Freeman, who is Icon, sent her to this school just basically so she could learn and be amongst what would be the rich, right? So she could learn to, I guess, just learn from them, right? For lack of better words. And also, she could get the best education she can get, right? Now, something that's pretty, disheartening is that she talks about her trials and tribulations at this brand new school, but also that this girl who's there, um, who has been bullied, and her previous friend was bullied so much that she unalived herself because it was just too much for her. And we get into basically that Raquel wants to do more, right? While she's at this place. So that's probably one of the side stories that we get into. Next, we switch into Dakota City. And we are with Curtis Metcalf, right? And that is Hardware. And he's basically looking at Icon and also Rocket, and he's wondering how come we can't see their faces in any of the surveillance footage. And he's wondering, like, I definitely need some kind of tech, but he's also contemplating, um, I would say, the ideals, right? And the motives for Icon himself. And he basically wants some of his technology, and he aims to go find his ship, right? Now, as he's going, we switch to Icon, and he's with his love interest at the time, and they're talking just about where Rocket is, which is Raquel, and that she's at a school. She's doing her thing to the best of her ability, and then we switch back to Raquel, and we see these bullies who are coming towards her, and they're like, "Get up out of our seat." Um, this is a little bit later on, and then she's like, "No, I'm not getting up out of nowhere. Like you could sit wherever you want to sit. I'm gonna sit wherever I want to sit, and you're not gonna stop me. And if you try to stop me, I'm gonna knock the you know what out of you, right?" So Raquel is pretty, she's holding her own, right? And then we switch back to which is pretty cool, right? As we see Hardware, who's basically going to Washington D.C. To uncover some of this technology or to find the spaceship from Icon, we get some interesting, pretty cool, just African American history, and it's really cool because I'm not used to seeing this in comic books, so you get a little lesson, right? And this is about Benjamin Banneker, which is pretty cool, and his name does come up a little bit later. Besides the fact that Hardware gives us about Benjamin Banneker and all of the things that he's done, um, we do. His name does pop up a little bit later. So as Hardware is, going under this underground bunker to try to get the spaceship for Icon, he is bombarded by several robots, and they're basically telling him, "Freeze, kneel down. Um, and if you don't, then we're gonna decimate you," right? So Hardware does get shot in his arm, and it hurts him pretty hard, and he wonders how they were able to do this to that degree. But he takes the box that he basically came for, and he leaves. We switch back to Raquel Irvin and also her friend, who are they're basically just trading information on their upbringing, right? Because the girl, her friend, Raquel's friend that's with her, right, who had the friend that passed away, who committed suicide, she's like, "How did you get so strong?" Right? Not physically, but just mentally, that mental fortitude to fight against the bullies. And Raquel is telling her, right, and where she came from Paris Island and things of that nature. We switch back to Hardware, and Hardware is in a safe house in Washington D.C., and he's discussing. Uh, well, he's not really discussing with anyone. He's talking to himself about everything that just happened, but also he opens the box and he realizes it's not a spaceship at all. In actuality, it is a memoir or the journal. Well, rather, it's the journal for Benjamin Banner, right? Which we talked about a little bit earlier. And it's instructions on Operation Time Machine. Yes, a time machine. So then he reads it, he researches on it, and he starts to build this temporal displacement. Um, yeah, just item or technology, and he builds it in the form of a time machine. I said space. It's a time machine, and he wants to do a couple of things. Number one, he wants to find out why his dad left him, right, or left him and his mom. And number two, he wants to see if he could stop everything that happened from the Big Bang. And if you're not familiar with the Big Bang, that's what caused um, well, a lot of deaths, right? And but it also caused some superheroes to be born, but also a lot of villains, right? Um, the most um, the most popular superhero that we could really talk about is Static. Yes, Static Shock, right? So he wants to prevent these things because um, the good didn't outweigh the bad, right? There's far too many deaths that happened under the consequence of the Big Bang itself, right? Now we get into some memories from Curtis, aka Hardware, and then he uses the machine and goes into the past, right? And what he does when he gets into the past is he sees why his dad left. Basically, his dad had cheated on his mom, and we get the revelation that he actually had another. The dad had another son, which is foreshadowing something in the near future that we're going to get a chance to meet the half brother or the brother, right, of Curtis himself, right. Now I'm not too sure if this had happened in the comic books in some type of way in the past, but this is brand new for me and it's pretty exciting. The next is that we see Curtis go to where his dad is in in a pub, right? A pub or just a shop where you could just sit down and get some stuff, aka a bar. I couldn't remember the word bar this whole entire time. And he has a really great conversation with him about just trials and tribulations again, but also taking responsibility for your actions and not running away from them. So what he does next is he convinces his dad to basically um, stay with the family to support the child. Now, we're not too sure if the dad and the mom got back together, but he feels successful at this point and uses the time machine that he's embedded into his armor to go to another place in time. So, where does he go next? Well, he goes to Hardware. He goes to himself in Dakota City, and this is 1 week before the Big Bang itself. And then Curtis is like, Curtis? And then he's like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And he basically convinces him about why he's here. He's like, hey, I know you thought about time travel being real, but I'm here to tell you it is real. And I use your password to basically get in here. And yeah, and I know that you had this crush on this girl named Diane McGill back in second grade. And then the the previous version of Curtis is like, "All right, I believe you. So what are you here for?" And he's like, "I'm here to basically stop um the Big Bang, right? To stop from all those people who are gonna pass away." And they basically they basically do what they're about to do. They go on a mission together, and um what seems like they stopped it, right? It seems like they stopped it, but then Curtis, we get a panel set from 12 months later, and there's still basically a war of superpowered soldiers, and Curtis is like, how is this happening, right? Why is this happening? I thought that I stopped this from Alva Industries from um, basically being responsible for what would be the Big Bang. And while there are things that have been changed, and it seems like his parents were in his life, um, things still went to hell, for lack of better words. And then as we're closing the book, we see Icon, which is a different version of Icon with a pretty cool suit. Instead of green and black, it's red and black. And he says he flies up to where Curtis is, who is now in a suit, and he's in charge of Alva Industries. And he says, Curtis, we need to talk. And then we come to the end of the issue itself. And I was so immersed because it's a pretty long book, right? Um, and this, I honestly want to say that this is my full, true immersion into the Milestone universe. Did I read Icon and Rocket number 1, season 1? I did, but I didn't read far into it. And I feel ashamed of that because there's so much good storytelling. And I must say that this storytelling was right up my alley when it comes into like time travel or someone who wants to make choices to change how things went. I think we all kind of theorize about that at some point of our lives. What if I could go change something, right? And we often come to the conclusion, oh, we wouldn't change anything because it would lead us to a difference in reality on it is. But I think there's a lot of people out there who are like, no, I wish I could really go back and change something because I'm not enjoying the life that I'm living right now, or there are people that I miss that I would love to see. So it's a pretty interesting concept. Something else that's there, even though hardware talked about paradoxes, we didn't see any paradoxes so far. But what I'm unclear about is when we saw the 12 months later, is that 12 months? I'm assuming this is 12 months from the Big Bang, and are we seeing the icon appear to the previous version of hardware, Curtis Metcalf, or is this Curtis who went back to the future and then things change, right? So that's something that I'm a little bit unclear about, but I'm definitely immersed in the ride and can't wait to find out what happens next. So, what if I had to rate this book? I would definitely go say go read it, right? It's not about whether I'm going to give her a 1 out of 10. The writing was definitely phenomenal on my end. We see Rocket. She has a little side story that she's going on. Um, we get some history, right, about African Americans. We get some sci-fi action, and we get just inquiry about what's going to happen next. So, with that being said, everyone, I hope you enjoy this. I can't wait for the next book because I'm definitely going to cover it. With that being said, this is Zen from Zen Multiverse saying peace, love, and prosperity. If you're enjoying the content, drop me a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, everyone, be good to yourself and be good to others. Later, everyone.